Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, I'm going to react to the top 10 conspiracy theories that actually turned out to be true. Now, this is going to be a really interesting one because, I wouldn't call myself a conspiracy theorist, although I believe wholeheartedly that there is a ton of stuff that, is either kept from the public, maybe for fear of how the public would react, or just basically they just don't, whoever the powers that be just don't feel like revealing certain things to the public. Like, one example is, people think that there's like aliens and things like that in Area 51, or that the government is hiding, information related to aliens and stuff. I kind of believe some of that stuff, I definitely think that, that they probably, I don't want to say spaceships have landed and stuff like that, but I do think that the government knows a lot more about extraterrestrial life, or just, outer space in general, that what they share with us. Let me know what you guys think about that one in particular. But yeah, this video here, I'm looking forward to watching it. It's got a ton of, the comments in the comment section are really fascinating. So yeah, I can't wait to watch it. Let's do it.
He had a blank look in his eye. He didn't know who we were. He didn't know we were his daughters.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 conspiracy theories that turned out to be true.
Oh, there's the president sitting there signing a document. What the heck were we worried about?
For this list, we'll be going over the strangest and most famous conspiracy theories that were actually conspiracy facts. Is there a theory you once believed that you now realize was a load of baloney? Tell us in the comments. Number 10, Roswell Cover Up.
Okay, I've heard of this one.
In the summer of 1947, an object crashed down to Earth in Roswell, New Mexico. Theories that it was an alien spacecraft have pervaded pop culture for over a half a century since.
Everybody thinks that Roswell was the first sighting of a UFO in the United States, and that bull roar.
The U.S. Air Force claimed that the object was merely a weather balloon, only added fuel to the fire. And the conspiracy theorists were right. It was no weather balloon, and there was a cover-up. But it wasn't an alien ship either, probably. The object was a high-altitude balloon launched as part of Project Mogul. These balloons were intended to detect sound waves from Soviet atomic bomb tests. During the Cold War, the U.S. military couldn't exactly be honest about that in the papers. Now, whether you think that's another cover story, well...
This better not be another damn Russian spy job.
Number 9.
To be fair, that one does seem plausible. I can believe that. I could believe that. What do you guys think? Or do you think that is also BS?
Big Tobacco's big lie.
There's extensive use of this technology, which is called ammonia chemistry, that allows for nicotine to be more rapidly absorbed in the lungs and therefore affect the brain and central nervous system.
Smoking causes lung cancer and a lot of other adverse health effects. Scientists demonstrated this definitively in the 1950s. However, public opinion wavered for decades, with sources springing up to generate controversy and debate. Some suspected that the tobacco industry was suppressing and distorting the facts through a coordinated campaign, and it eventually came out that they were. Together, the world's largest tobacco companies initiated Operation Berkshire to generate fake controversy and debate. Big Tobacco knew that smoking caused cancer and that nicotine was addictive. They decided not to make cigarettes less harmful because addiction made them a lot of money.
Now, the work we did here is confidential, not for public scrutiny, any more than our one's family matters.
You're threatening my family now, too.
Isn't it crazy how, human greed can just completely overwhelm any desire to do the right thing? They were like, who cares if people are getting cancer? Let's just make that money. It's just so messed up.
Just goes to show, where there's smoke, there's often fire.
See how camels agree with your throat. See how mild and good tasting a cigarette can be.
Number 8, the White Sox through the World Series. The Chicago White Sox are on record for having one of the longest droughts between winning World Series at 87 years. However, they weren't always known for their bad luck. Back in the late 1910s, the Sox won in 1917, and they even had a wonder like Shoeless Joe Jackson on the team. Yet, rumors during the 1919 series held that the games were fixed. The White Sox lost the series, but the rumors persisted into the next year. Eventually, a grand jury found evidence that 8 players, including Jackson, though his role is disputed, were involved in a conspiracy to receive money in exchange for throwing the series.
I think the Black Sox players saw a high reward for what they were doing. They could make as much as their yearly salary in 1 week for fixing the World Series.
While a trial found them not guilty, they were nevertheless banned from the league permanently.
Imagine offering, you know, today's Chicago White Sox players 10 grand to throw the World Series. Imagine, they just laugh you out of the door. Although, what would $10,000 be today, adjusted for inflation, back then? It'd probably be, what, about a million, maybe? Less? They still wouldn't do it for $1 million each. I don't think so.
Number 7. Nefarious agents infiltrated the government. The Church of Scientology is infamously touchy about any criticism of their organization.
Get out! I didn't mean anything by it. I don't even know L. Ron Hubbard.
Their influence over celebrities is well known, but theories about their influence over the government are also out there. And here's the thing. Scientologists really did infiltrate the government. In the 1970s, at least 5,000 members of the organization conducted espionage on government agencies and private organizations. And this wasn't a fringe element either. The founder's wife, Mary Sue Hubbard, pleaded guilty and went to prison. It was one of the largest scale infiltrations of the US government in history. All of this was done with the aim of destroying evidence that painted Scientology in an unfavorable light. It arguably had quite the opposite effect.
Boy. Scientology can be pretty sensitive.
Confuses me.
Number 6.
Isn't Scientology based on like a novel? Is it an actual religion? Like, you know, no judgment at all, but like, I thought it was literally just a book that a guy wrote, like a science fiction novel. I need to.
The FBI spied on political activists.
All power to all the people!
Those involved in political protests and other activist causes are often paranoid that they're being watched. And they should be, because it's happened before and it can happen again.
Tapes from the hotel rooms, FBI reports, those are pieces of information that we shouldn't have.
From the late 50s to the early 70s, the FBI engaged in illegal surveillance, infiltration, and disruption of protest movements and other organizations deemed subversive.
He realized how sick this country was. We were trying to reveal the truth about segregation.
These ranged from independence movements to civil rights movements to feminist organizations. They even had John Lennon, the former Beatles frontman, under watch. While this program, named COINTELPRO, was abolished in 1971, others may have taken its place.
Most likely.
This represents the darkest part of the Bureau's history.
Number 5.
They're still doing it now, man. They're tapping phones. Especially with the internet, it's much easier for them to track you. 100% they're spying on you. My phone, I'm sure it's listening to me sometimes. I'll mention something like donuts, and then I'll go on Google, and then like an advert for like donuts will come up. Like,
the first female U.S. president. While the United States has yet to elect a woman to the office of president, by electoral college anyway, some theorize that a woman has assumed the duties of the office already. In 1919, President Woodrow Wilson suffered a debilitating stroke. This left him bedridden and partially paralyzed with some impaired judgment.
If I don't help him be president, what a kind of wife am I?
For over a year, Wilson's wife Edith aided him in governing the country, to the point where she was basically performing his job in all but name. The degree of her involvement was kept a close secret, and Wilson herself denied that she made executive decisions until her death.
So he's like sitting there, and they like move his arm, and then they just release that to the press, and that's how dumb people were back then.
Number 4, the government is spying on you. The common refrain for cranks and conspiracy nuts for decades has been that the government is watching our every move. And it's not completely wrong. With the rise of smartphones and the internet, the government has unprecedented access to
100%.
Information on its citizens.
100%.
They're following us.
In the wake of 9/11, the Bush administration initiated far-reaching mass surveillance programs, both foreign and domestic. The NSA's activities in the years since have included sucking up and storing online history, emails, metadata, text messages, you name it. Edward Snowden revealed a lot of this info with his leaks, including how other governments were also implicated.
Even if you send it to somebody within the United States, your wholly domestic communication between you and your wife can go from New York to London and back and get caught up in the database.
Few believe that in the time since, governments have just given up. Number 3,
no chance.
False justification for war. In August 1964, the USS Maddox fired a warning shot as 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats approached the Gulf of Tonkin. After the torpedo boats opened fire, the Maddox sank all 3. 2 days later, the report of a second attack prompted President Lyndon B. Johnson to authorize further military action in Vietnam. For years, people questioned this justification.
At one point, the commander of the ship said, "We're not certain of the attack." Another point, they said, "Yes, we're absolutely positive." And then finally, late in the day, Admiral Sharp said, "Yes, we're certain it happened."
It was eventually revealed that the second attack was imaginary, based on wrongly interpreted communications intercepts.
And think of all the people that died, such a shame.
It wasn't the last dubious rationale for war. In 1990, George H.W. Bush leveraged false testimony crafted by a public relations firm to initiate the Gulf War. Over a decade later, his son would falsely claim that Iraq possessed WMDs to justify an invasion.
The people of the United States and our friends and allies will not live at the mercy of an outlaw regime that threatens the peace with weapons of mass murder.
Number 2, Watergate scandal. Perhaps the most well-known political conspiracy of all time, the Watergate scandal was unthinkable when it occurred.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook.
The scandal began when Republican President Richard Nixon's administration illegally wiretapped and broke into the Democratic National Committee headquarters.
We don't know who ordered the burglary, and we don't really know what the burglars were up to that night.
Their aim was to acquire information about Nixon's opposition in the forthcoming election.
Wow.
The arrest of the perpetrators led to attempts by Nixon and his administration to cover up their involvement. However, mounting evidence and leaks soon exploded into a scandal that has become a byword for political disgrace, leading to Nixon's resignation.
How bold of him to do that, to be you really thought that you would get away with that and keep it quiet? Wow.
One of the things that's so hard to recreate and understand now, looking back, is there was no sense that the president could lie to the American people.
Things have changed, Garrett.
Things have changed today.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the
Can't
bell to
believe he
get
actually
notified
did
about
that.
our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional
Let me
videos
just bust
or
in
all of
there
them.
and see if I can
If you're on your phone,
get some
make sure you
info.
go into settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. The CIA conducted mind control experiments.
Wow.
The idea of a government agency trying to control people's minds might
Jeez.
sound like science fiction,
Very
but it
dystopian.
really happened.
Prostitutes would lure men to these apartments, and then once the men were in the apartments, they were dosed with LSD, and then they were basically studied by CIA scientists.
In the 1970s, a commission on the CIA's activities within the U.S. exposed the existence of Project MK-Ultra, a secret program that used drugs and torture to manipulate its victims' mental states.
Kool-Aid was spiked with LSD.
My
It was
God.
horrible.
These experiments were conducted on prisoners in secret detention centers around the world,
What?
as well as within American universities, hospitals, and prisons. The CIA also funded brutal experiments involving electroconvulsive therapy in Montreal, Canada. Victims of MK-Ultra included Ken Kesey and Allen Ginsberg. It's one of the darkest conspiracies out there, and we still don't know the full extent of it.
And nobody's going to be held accountable. No way. Which is complete bullshit.
Did you enjoy this video?
Wow.
Check out...
Wow, that was really, really interesting. I really enjoyed that video. That last one about the CIA, it just blew my mind that they would literally just lead people to some hotel room under false pretenses, and then you're drugging them up and torturing them, trying to control their minds. Like, it makes me think, what else must the CIA be up to? I guess we'll never know, It must be all sorts of things, just because they're so secretive, and they operate with such a big budget. They're probably doing all sorts of things. It's just, it really makes my imagination go wild. Really, really interesting video. I imagine, what other conspiracy theories do you guys think are true? Let me know in the comment section, because, you know, there's just so much happening that's out of the public eye. There's just, you know, like apparently some people think that the government can control the weather. Apparently something to do with silver nitrates, they can make it rain, which I'm not sure if I believe that one, because we've got a drought right now. It's very, very dry. Like, why wouldn't they make it rain now? Yeah, let me know what theories you think are true. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.